Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank all of you. And I think we are very much all aligned in terms of saying the value of the Safe Drinking Water Act. And as we look forward, so I'm going to take a little bit different tactic on my questions here, since I have expert panel in front of me. So I want to start with you, Ms. Tucker-Vogel. And then I mentioned this in my opening statement. Water systems often receive and encounter PFAS contaminants without producing or intentionally accepting or distributing them. Given the EPA's proposed PFAS designation under CERCLA, what would the impact be for water systems and consumers of the potential liability that this could place on local utilities that bear no responsibilities? I mean, you said you had 900 separate systems. That you've got to be obviously anticipating and thinking about this. So what is your perspective on the passive receiver issue?
So if you look at the memo from EPA on their discretion on enforcement for PFAS under CERCLA, it does exempt community water systems. However, shouldn't say exempt. It says they will use discretion on enforcement at community water systems. However, it does not mention non-community water systems, non-transient, non-community, which are schools, those non-residential water systems that serve the same people every day. So the big one that comes to mind are schools. And so we would want to make sure that schools are also included in that discretionary enforcement. Water systems under the new PFAS rule will have to comply. So if they do have PFAS in their water, they will have to install treatment in order to be compliant with the new regulation. So funding will be a big problem. Now, we've done some preliminary sampling in the state of Kansas, and we're fortunate that we've only identified so far about 3 or 4 systems that have detections. We have one system, which is a military base, Fort Leavenworth, who has installed treatment. Of course, that's a federal government responsibility, so that doesn't really impact our small systems. But they'll be very challenged if we have to start installing this expensive treatment for PFAS removal.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is a source of concern, I think, as we move forward. So Radhika Fox, thank you. Good to see you. Thank you for the nice compliments, and I hope you're doing well in the private sector, as you've devoted 3 years to us and to your country. So thank you for that. But while I have you here, I'm going to ask you a question about something that occurred while you were in your capacity. On the safe, you know that this safe drinking level, this maximum contaminant level, was something that I was pushing constantly for. Set a level that we can understand, measure, and be safe with. But the Science Advisory Board was sort of questioned the processes that for setting those levels. They identified major flaws in the EPA's approach, like inconsistent inclusion and exclusion of epidemiology and animal studies, lack of predefined protocol, insufficient transparency. So what would your response be to that, and how can we improve upon, A, the processes, but also make this MCL level workable for the systems that Ms. Tucker-Vogel talked about, and also the president of the Navajo Nation is going to have to deal with this as well.
Thank you for the question.
Microphone.
Sorry about that. Rusty. So, you know, what I recall from, so one thing I will say, Senator Capito, having been at the EPA for 3 years, I absolutely agreed, and I think, Cathy, you would probably agree with this too. There are vast improvements we can make to the regulatory development process, creating greater efficiency, transparency. So from a process perspective, I absolutely agree with you. On the question of the process that EPA went through to set the level at 4 parts per trillion, you know, what I recall is that was very much, that was a recommendation that was made by the career staff experts who had reviewed hundreds of studies And we arrived at the 4 parts per trillion because some of the more recent studies from when states had set MCLs showed that PFAS clearly causes cancer. And that is what really led to the decision to set at 4 parts per trillion.
So you don't really have a response to what the Science Advisory Board, the questions that they raised on the setting of this level?
I believe that there was robust discussion between the staff who were managing the development of that regulation and the Science Advisory Board.